Greetings ladies and gents, welcome back to the Craft Hammer. I'm your host Stefan, and in today's video we're continuing on our second wave of Krieg models that have been released, and we are going through each of their kits, looking at their sprues and then building them so that you can decide whether these kits are right for you and whether you want to collect these models. Now, our previous video was the Krieg squad itself. We've also created a nice little playlist so that if you want to see the full range that we've managed to collect so far, you can just go on the playlist and then just play them as they go. In today's video, we are looking at the Krieg Command Squad. This comes with 7 miniatures, which is technically 6 of the actual Command Squad, and then you get a 7th little scribe looking thing that is attached to the squad itself. The other Command Squads, which is the Cadian and the Catechins, do only come with 5 figures, so it is interesting that they decided to include 6 for the Krieg Command Squad. I'm definitely excited and looking forward to seeing what options we get here on the sprue, and of course seeing how we can change up some of these poses and what we can attach to them. So let's open this box and let's get the sprue out so we can check it out. And here we are with the 3, I guess, medium sprues, since this one can be broken up into these kind of half sprues that you get, which is a bit interesting. I think I would have preferred if at least we got 4 of these, so like another one of these ones attached, and just some extra options that you could have put in there. Of course, it's not like they don't have options here, which is very interesting to see. We do have a number of different weapon options. So you do have your grenade launcher, flamer, plasma, melta. I'm not entirely sure. I think this is like a short version of a last rifle, so that's kind of interesting to see. We do have a number of pistols as well, from plasma, bolt, las, 2 plasmas in fact, which I do believe that this model here, which is like a veteran model, he is able to also take a plasma pistol and a power sword, so that is pretty cool to see. And of course a nice Krieg flag. Hopefully you're able to see the details there with some bullet holes that went through the flag itself. You do get 1 shovel if that's what you're interested in, and of course a little tomahawk up there to put onto your models. And actually we do have an interesting looking shovel beside a skull which has some sort of marking on it. I can't particularly see. I think it's the letter X and I, so I'm guessing 11 in this scenario, with the shovel beside it. And of course these skulls that I believe they are for the little scribe thing that we showed. Overall, it's nice looking. It's got a few options, and I'm very looking forward to seeing how these little bits that are part of the actual, what you call it, the ground, like the details there. And I believe, if I'm correct, they come with a much larger base for the Lord Commissar, so it actually accommodates these little additions. So very cool so far. Nothing too out of the ordinary. Let me quickly check to see how many helmets we get in this set. So we have no spare helmets, no different variants there. So the only way to differentiate your command squad is if you are giving them different weapons. So for example, one command squad might have a Lord Commissar with a power fist, while the other one is the one where he is pointing on the box and he has his power sword attached to the side with his whip at the back. So do be aware that helmet wise you won't have variants, and they will be specific to the models themselves, so it's not going to be easy to swap them out. For example, I can already see that the Lord Commissar has a bit attached where it's, I'm assuming, the little part of his the coat. Yeah, not too bad. We're gonna go and build these out and see what little variants we can make. So let's get into building it, and I'll come back in a second with the finished models. So I'll see you in a second. And we have returned with the finished Krieg Command Squad. The bases obviously still need a bit of cleaning up, a bit of sandpaste, clear some of these little corners on the popsicle sticks, but otherwise the models themselves are finished and are ready for priming. Let's get into some of the details that I'm sure some of you are curious. And what I'll do is I'll quickly start off with this little scribe floating skulls. This little sign, which is actually quite nice. Hopefully, I'm not sure if it'll zoom in here or not. But anyway, This little sign, it's a bit too big to put effectively on any of these 25mm bases, so I just put it with the little scribe, and you do get a little transfer sheet which has the word minefield, so I'm just gonna put that there. I think it's gonna look pretty nice. It is a bit fragile, so do make sure that you're handling this one a bit careful, just because it is held together on a very small little bit of plastic. Now, the overall models for the rest of the command squad, I think it's important to split this up into 2 sections of the actual squad, and the first being the ones that you get options and the ones that you don't. So our flag, our alchemical guy, the medic, and the Voxcaster himself, you only get what they come with. If you're looking to change out some things, do be aware that obviously they don't come with secondary options, so you are going to have to kit bash what other options you want. I would definitely recommend that you dry fit a lot, just because you don't want to accidentally put something and it doesn't fit with the flag at the back. So do be careful on those 3 ones. But the Lord Commissar, this other guy, which I think is the Prefect and Militant or something, he's the other guy that's second in command, I believe, but he is technically just put in as a veteran guardsman. And then we do have a special weapon carrier. So those 3 ones, the Lord Commissar, you can change out the pistol, you can change out the power fist to be a power sword. The special weapons guy, obviously you can change him up to be a flamer, a melt-a-gun, a grenade launcher, and of course the one that I did, which is the plasma gun. The other veteran guardsman, he does come with 3 different weapon options: power sword, trench club, and I believe a chain sword, and then last pistol, plasma pistol, and bolt pistol. So obviously I went with the plasma pistol. Overall, I do think it's a nice looking command squad. It does come together fairly well. It is one of those things where you could probably get away with 2, since these 3 can have different options. But if you are looking at the other guys, you may want to see if you can kit bash maybe a separate weapon for this guy, change it out to a bolt pistol, even though he might not have the rules for it, just so that he looks a slightly bit different. But I don't really think, for aesthetic purposes, that you would want to get 3 of these command squads, just because then you will have a hard time making them look different. Now, of course, if aesthetics don't really matter to you and you are just looking for rules wise and something for your tournament, then that doesn't really matter, and then you can just get as many as you need for your games. But otherwise, they do have a lot of details. I did make sure to keep the Lord Commissar not glued onto his base so that I can properly paint all those little details, and the Voxcaster is also not glued on top, just because it would be much easier to get into some of those details. Otherwise, the other 4 guardsmen, they can be glued onto the bases. There's nothing really that's stopping you from painting any details, so they're all decent to just be glued onto their actual bases. And you do get 1 or 2 little trinkets. For example, on the veteran guardsman, I put a grenade on his, like right beside his feet. And then for the Lord Commissar, a bit cheeky, what I did is I got one of the teacups, or no, not on the Lord Commissar, my bad. I think, yeah, it's actually on this veteran guardsman. I put a little teacup right there beside his belt. So a few little small details that you can attach, nothing too major. You don't get that many more things left once you build these models. So if you're looking for, let's say, extra pieces from this set that you want to use for your normal Krieg guardsman squad, you're not going to have that many options left over to also put them as details onto those, so just be aware of that. Otherwise, that is, I guess, the end of this review. I'm going to clean up these bases, make sure that they're ready for priming. Obviously I'll prime them, and then maybe in our hobby updates for our grey tie challenge for the year, you'll get to see these guys fully painted, which is the hope because they are part of that challenge, so we'll see how that goes. Otherwise, make sure to check out the other Krieg kit reviews that we have in our playlist. Stay tuned for the next one, which is of course the heavy weapons theme, and until next time, take care folks.